Okay, well, welcome. This is Wes Anderson. Uh-oh, I just lost my video here. See, what did I had the little video bubble. Sorry about that. Um, well, I've got a plan B just in case. So we'll go ahead and motor ahead. I may bring up photo booth here so we can see that. But this is being recorded. It is an informal session, and you should see a little chat box across the top. And if you have a question anywhere along the line, just go ahead and chat your question in, and I'll keep an eye out for those. So first of all, it wouldn't be. We're going to be talking tonight about the Smart Clicker, which is not available openly on the market yet. It's only shipping out to people that backed us on Kickstarter. So if you backed us on Kickstarter, thank you very much. We appreciate that. And yeah, someone's asking, they can't hear anything. Sound is very low. Okay, let me see. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna take off my headset. Does that help? Can you hear me better? Um, am I coming through better? No sound at all. My volume is all the way up. Um, can anyone else hear me? Okay, I just got on. Let's see. Just give me a shout. Bob, can you hear me okay? Or Amanda? Yep. Okay. All right. So I'm coming through. If you're not hearing, it might be on your end. If you don't have your microphone turned on, that's a possibility, depending on how you joined. You can also join the audio by phone. And there was a phone number posted in the Facebook user group, so you can use that phone number to dial in and get the audio portion. Let me see if I can find that real quick for you. Uh, Someone said they had to click the audio in the upper left to get on. Yeah. So here's a call-in number. If you This just happens to be one number down in Atlanta, but you can call in if you're not getting any audio and listen over the phone. That's 404 801 3225. That number, if you call that number, you will be able to listen to the audio, and you'll need that access code. So this right here, there's your phone number and your access code. If you're having trouble with the audio, you can call in and listen on the phone to the audio portion and watch the computer. I hope that helps, folks. Okay, it says it's not supported by Safari. Okay, that's a surprise. Let's see, what did I get on? Yeah, I usually use Chrome. I'm not sure about Safari. I'm going to go ahead and get started then. So here is the information again. If you're having trouble with the audio, hearing me, you can call in on this number. Okay, you have to download the app. Yes, somebody mentioned that you have to download the app in order to get the Join Me on Safari. So there is a way to do that. Download the app to get Safari. Okay. All right. We got a few of the administrative things out of the way, so I'm going to motor ahead. This was, a long time coming. It's actually an evolution in what we've done at Smart Animal Training Systems, which our vision and mission is to provide smart technology to support positive reinforcement. And we do that in a number of ways. The Pet Tutor, as you all know, it launched about a year and a half ago, I guess it is. And we're now into our second generation of that product with the Pet Tutor Blue. And we're now introducing a brand new product, the Smart Clicker. The Smart Clicker can work with the feeder, or it can work standalone. So it does not even require the feeder in order to work. So I wanted to point that out there. It's a little bit of confusion that you either had to have a smart clicker to work with a feeder. Some people didn't realize that it could work alone, but that is indeed the case. And we'll be expanding the capability of Pet Tutor in general now, adding new capabilities. Hopefully throughout this summer, you'll be seeing some new and pretty exciting stuff from us, either in prototype or new products or new applications. So you'll see a lot of that coming down the pike. I want to thank there were many folks that brought the smart clicker to the market, and it would take us quite a while to thank everyone that's been involved. We've had designers and engineering team and sales and marketing people, and it's been a real team effort. It's really exciting. One of the things that I like about the smart clicker, and it's smart in many ways, it can help with training, it can help your training skills, but we also made it very small so it fits in a variety of toys. I just want to show you a clip. I don't know how well this is going to come across on the video feed, so if it's not very good for you, don't worry. It's going to be posted and you'll be able to see it. But I just wanted you to notice this is a little service dog puppy that I'm working with right now, and she has 3 toys, and one of them has the smart clicker in it. And so she's trying to figure out which toy has the smart clicker. And when she hits it, it will trigger just like the tilt sensor does in the remote. So she's trying to find the right one. So there's one hot ball and one that's not. And I don't know if you can see that. Oh, there she gets a little cameo. There it is. Yeah, you can see that's an IQ ball rolling around. That's actually the larger size. There's even a smaller one than that that's available. So I just wanted to give you that real short little introduction to what you can do now with the smart clicker. And with that, I'm going to walk through the slides. Ask me a question as we go through these. I think I'll enlarge this. That might help. And I'm just going to touch on some of the high points of the smart clicker. Before I do that, I'm going to back up, see if I can show you what you should have all received. Let's see, there's the video feed. So you should have all gotten a package like this. Inside the package, you've got some instructions. Big thanks to Bob Crothers, who works in our shipping group and actually is the leader of our shipping group. This particular document that's inside the pack gives you connections and all the instructions that you're going to need. Inside that, then you'll find a little box, and in the box is the smart clicker. And so I don't know if you've all received that yet, but it is coming in the mail. We shipped out a whole bunch of them this week, so more of them are coming. And if your friends would like to know, they'll be available in the market soon. We're not saying when yet, but soon. But right now, they're only available to people that have backed on Kickstarter. So that's the smart clicker package that is coming out to everyone. And that went out, many of those went out in the mail this week. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and close this down for a second, and then I'm going to walk through some of these slides, and I'll cut back to the video. And so this is a document with instructions. You'll find this on the user group, and it goes out to all the owners of the smart clickers. So there are instructions, some how-tos. We have instructions that are following in this, plus several example videos. I hope to add a lot of videos to this, and we'd really like to encourage you to get experimental with the smart clicker. There's some really neat features about it that weren't available before, so you'll see some new capabilities that we didn't have before. Just to get started, you pull out, there's when the unit comes to you, you'll see a plastic strip that is in it. And let's see if I can switch back here for a second. So when you get the unit, you'll see a little plastic strip here, and that strip is the battery keeper. Now, when you pull it out, you don't have to take it apart. You just grab it and pull it out, and that will cause the battery to make contact inside, and that'll energize the smart clicker. It'll power up. The little LED will flash green briefly, and then it's ready to go. I'll just point out there is no power switch, so you don't have to turn it on and off. It's very smart. It knows, the smart clicker, the software inside knows when it's connected to a phone, and when it's not connected, it goes to sleep, except for a little bit of power that's periodically going out just to see if there's a phone that wants to talk to it. And if there is, it'll connect up, and then you can use your phone with the clicker. But otherwise, it's in a sleep to save the battery. So once you pull that out, then it's energized. If you don't pull it out, you won't be able to connect to it at all with your phone because there's no energy at all in it. So you got to pull that little strip out. Now, if you're going to keep it around for a while, I would suggest you might want to hang on to this. In fact, you could fold it and put it inside the case. I'll show you how to change the battery and where you could put this little keeper if you wanted to hang on to it. If you need to keep it around for a long time, put that back in where you pulled it out, and I'll show you how to do that in just a little bit later in this video clip. But this is a little handy little battery keeper. It comes in a lot of these coin batteries, which is what is inside the smart clicker. It is a non-rechargeable, let me say it again, non-rechargeable coin battery. So you just pop one out and stick another one in. If any of you have worked with lithium-ion batteries, it's becoming a big hassle shipping those around, and it probably will get more difficult in the future. So we're really anxious to have a device that doesn't require those lithium batteries. So just a little coin battery inside. Pull it out, and you're ready to go. Connect it to your phone, as the instructions say here, and you're off. You're off and to the races. That once you've connected to the phone, then you can open the app up, and I'm going to show you how to do that here in just a second. When you connect to the phone the first time, make sure your Bluetooth is turned on. We've gotten several customer questions. Well, I can't connect to it. And lo and behold, the phone's Bluetooth was turned off. So you're going to have to turn your phone's Bluetooth on first. And that's different on different devices, but usually there's a little gear on the phone somewhere, and you can go in and turn the Bluetooth on. This is Bluetooth low energy, or it's called Bluetooth 4.0 is the new version of Bluetooth, and not all the older devices have that. So if you have a really old phone, you may not be able to connect. So I don't know that we've had any problems with anyone that's been getting the clicker, but just watch that. If you've got a really old phone or a really old laptop, it may not have the new low energy Bluetooth. You open the app, start into the training button, press a little check mark to begin the connection, and then you're good. And the screen will pop up. You configure it to the feeder, enter the name that you want for the clicker, and save it off and continue on. So let me see if I can set that up and kind of walk through it right now. And so I've got my iPad up here, and I'm projecting it on the screen right beside me, so you should be able to follow along. First thing I do is pull out the little tab. Just pull out this little battery keeper. And there, if you saw it flash, now the battery, that told me that the battery does have a charge in it. It's a good battery, and we're off to the races. We don't like to use that LED very much, and so about the only time you're going to see it's when you're switching modes. We go in now, and you see we're out. The app is now searching for devices. And let's see, I have quite a few of these. So the first screen that pops up is enter the device name. So this is Wes Clicker 1. Okay. Which feeder do you want to connect to? Well, I actually don't have a feeder here, which just points out this can work without a feeder, but the default is to connect to all feeders. So if you have 2 feeders or 3 or 4, it will assign the click command will trigger all feeders simultaneously. if you want to do that. If you have one feeder, you just select that feeder and go on. Notice the p-values here. We'll come back to that in just a minute, but these p-values, and they'll probably get renamed in a future version, but they stand for, this is the sensitivity, P1. And that is a setting that you can change when you're in the tilt mode to make it more or less sensitive when it's being tilted. P2 is kind of a snooze time. When the tilt sensor is moving, when the clicker gets bumped and triggers, you don't want it to get triggered right away or the dog could just keep hitting it. So you can change, and that is the number of seconds it'll wait. So if you bump it, it will not trigger again. My setting right now, as you can see, is 5 seconds. So if it gets bumped, there'll be a delay where it will not fire. It will not accept a trigger for at least 5 seconds. You can make that any number that you want. So play around with these. That's why we put them in there. This sensitivity of 40 is pretty decent for playing around with the ball or the Kong wobbler. And I've got the Kong wobbler here. Many folks have used it with the bigger remote. This is the small wobbler. I like this. The smart clicker fits inside this very easily. Or you've got these IQ balls. Now this is the small one. If you see, it's only like 3 inches long. So you can stick, you take there's a little disc in there. If you take that out, then you can put the smart clicker in there. And now the smart clicker is in this little 3-inch ball. They've got a bigger one that's 4 inches. So you can put it inside the ball once we turned it on into tilt mode. And so now I have got my smart clicker. I'm almost ready to finish the initialization. I hit save, and now, see down here at the bottom, now I have Wes's clicker 1 is connected. You'll see some readouts. There's the voltage that's inside the smart clicker, 3.1. Wow, that's pretty big. I don't usually see. This is a good battery. I think I want to keep this one. Usually they're a little closer to 3 when they get down around 2.7 or so, or 2.6 is when things get a little flaky. The bars on this, we're still playing around with that in the program. They may not be completely accurate, so I wouldn't rely too much on the bars. They will start to go down and they will turn red when you get into the danger zone. But that will, if you just remember, 2.6, 2.7 is kind of a really low voltage. That's about time you want to change that coin battery. And then right next to that, this dB, that's like the signal strength on your phone. And so actually minus 75, minus 80, minus 90 is, minus 90, you're starting to get a very weak signal. You may or may not be able to stay connected if you get that low. So those are the readings coming right out of the smart clicker. It's delivering its voltage, so we can read the voltage from our app. We can read the signal strength. There's another parameter. I won't say, if you're one of the makers out there, developers, you know, there's another device inside the smart clicker we can read, which may show up in the future. It's a very, very clever little computer that we're using inside there. So we're all set. And now I've got Wes's clicker number 1 is on, and it is triggering. If you saw it flash, see if I can turn up my sound here. There. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear that. I think it's because of the way I've got my configuration set with, I've got reflector here that's showing my my presentation. But there's a recording of the clicker that you'll hear in the from the app, and you can obviously turn that up or down on your app if you don't want any sound. So every time I push the right button, watch the imagery here. So as you're looking right at it, the right button is the one that triggers the feeder. So right now I'm triggering it in manual mode. If I had a feeder connected, it would be sending a command to the feeder to trigger the feeder. So that's just a very simple manual mode. I'm pushing the right button. Now, if I want to go into the tilt mode, I can do that in a couple of ways. You can push the little M on the app, and it pops up and it says press a button to enter. And now we're in the tilt mode. And so if the unit gets tilted, remember there's that timeout. So you got to keep that in mind. Every time you touch it, it may not fire. That's because of that 5-second interval that's sitting out there. So it's wiggling around right now. We have had now, so you can see it firing on your screen, and if the volume were up, you would hear it clicking. We've had it so sensitive that if it was sitting on a table, you could walk through a room and it would trigger the feeder. Now, you can dial it up or down, but I think there's a real application for setting it super sensitive. We've had people call and say, well, somebody comes past my apartment and my dog barks. Is there a way I could trigger the feeder when somebody walks by? Well, guess what? What if this was setting on the floor where they were walking by, could pick up the vibrations? You can set it to be very, very sensitive. So that's just the simple tilt mode. I can take it back out by just pressing the button on the app. But I can also go into the tilt mode by pressing the left button and hold it down. So I'm going to press and hold the left button. There, you see the light come on? As soon as the light come on, I remove my hand. So I'm pressing the left button. And did you notice that over on the app now, it went into a T. So this little button right here is what I'm talking about. That's M for manual and T for tilt. And right now it's in the tilt mode, so when you wiggle it, it fires. If we want to turn it back into manual mode, I just press and hold the left button. So when you're looking at the face of it, your left, hold it down till the light comes on. Takes about 3 seconds there, and then let go. Now I'm back in manual mode. And again, you can see that because there's an M on the app. So when I press and hold the left button, that will cause the app. So I'm going to press and hold that left button, and that changes the app. Well, I'm getting crazy here. Be careful. Don't give me drawing tools. Amanda, I don't know if you're there. I hope Amanda doesn't see this. She's just like, oh my God. I'm engineering and manufacturing. She's marketing and sales. So guess who's the more sophisticated? Anyway, so the left button you hold down to toggle between manual and tilt. The right button is the manual mode. One other function on the right button, press and hold, and you'll see the light come on again and let go. Now that was the right button this time. I pressed and held the right button. What happened? See the light? Now every time I push the right button, the light comes on. So if you want that feedback, if you want that LED to flash when you press the button, just as to confirm that that you got the batteries working and everything, you can do that. But there's no free lunch. When you make this LED flash like that, it's really pulling the power out of that little battery. Remember, we got just a little tiny coin battery. I'll show you one in just a minute. But we ship these in the power save mode. And yeah, Bob is saying that, Bob, my video is reversed. It's because I'm using a photo booth to project the image. So you guys, like I said, when you look at it, be sure it's the right button. When you're looking at it, it's your right button. When you press and hold, there, the light came on again. Now it's back in power save. So I'm going to press, no light. So I went back into power save mode. So you can toggle power save back and forth. Okay. So that takes care of there's a quick press and a long press on the button, and they have different functions. We'll come back to those slides in a second. I'll go over that. They're in the slides. I wanted to show you a couple of the other features. One of the the cool features about the smart clicker, and that allows it to be in standalone mode. So what I mean by standalone, there's no pet tutor feeder required. And if you do that, the smart clicker then becomes a device to help you with your clicker training. It records data and will present that to you, which is what we have right now on the screen is this little pie chart. If I press the reset button, it will reset the all the data. So this reset button right there, if I press that, it'll clear all the data. And now, when I'm in the manual trigger mode, the way this is the criteria counter, we call it, it will keep track of data during your clicker training session. If I press the right button, that's a hit on criteria. So that means the animal successfully achieved the criteria. I want to mark it and treat it. So if there were a feeder connected, it would fire the feeder. But again, it's not required. So it's required for you when you push the right button, there'll be a click sound, and you can hand deliver the treat then. And what that does is it allows you to track your hits and misses on criteria. So what's a miss look like? Press the left button. Now you see I'm getting misses. And so I've got 3 misses or failures and 3 successes for a total of 7 trials in this training session. 7 trials, and I've got 3 successes and 3 failures. And then the pie chart reflects that percentage. So if we change the criteria, now we make it a little bit easier. Now we're getting a bunch of successes in a row. The other number that's tracked for you is the success rate per minute. Now, this is really cool. You know, we talk about rate of reinforcement is very important. Anyone that's gone through Bob Bailey's chicken camp knows that you get drilled with, rate of reinforcement, setting your criteria, and timing. And so the smart clicker will help you track that rate of reinforcement. And it gets reset then every time you reset the counter. So hit, miss, miss. The big thing about the miss side is there's no click sound, or no marker or bridge sound, and it will not send a feed command onto the feeder. So if you have a feeder, all that'll happen if you hit the miss button on the left, thank you, Tara, I saw that you like that, when you hit the miss button, it just mutes everything except for the data collection piece. So it's always keeping track of hits and misses on criteria and the rate of reinforcement. So that is that's one of the 2 advanced training features of the smart clicker. The other one I'm not going to spend any time on tonight. We'll have another webinar. It almost requires one on its own. Which is the timing tutor, which would allow you to electronically measure timing. So if you have at least 2 clickers, you can record the time between the clicks electronically and read them out on the display. And we actually have graphs. I'll show you that in a future webinar. We're going to follow this up with some more advanced stuff. So those are the advanced features of the smart clicker. If you just close that out, it goes away, and you can fire away. Either button will fire the feeder. It's only when you open it up that it will ignore the left button, or not ignore, but it makes it a miss. Another neat thing about this that I found, when you put this into tilt mode, the counter is still running. So it doesn't have to be a push button. If you put it in tilt mode and put it in a toy for the dog, then every time they bump it, this counter goes up. So if you wanted to keep track of how many dispense cycles there were, one of the things that I've used this for is, I measure a cup of food and I put it in. So I'm going to feed a dog, and through the pet tutor, I put a cup of food in. It'd be nice to know how many cycles that is, because when I set the time dispense delivery, I can tell it how many cycles to run. So I can convert how many cycles a cup of food is. If it takes 100 cycles to dispense a cup of food, then 50 is a half a cup. So it kind of gives you a way to measure that right there in the criteria counter. So you can use it for other things. So I'm going to close that off, and let's see, switch. I'm going to switch over now to our presentation. So that was, I've gone through connecting up, and I think we've hit that one pretty good. I'm going to go through just some of the features inside. I mentioned there is a tilt sensor, actually a 3-axis accelerometer is inside, and what that allows, it senses the tilt, but you can imagine where things might go in the future with this, because you can actually measure angle now, which makes it very powerful. As I mentioned, it's got the LED. The coin battery that's in there is the CR2032. It's a 3.3 volt battery. And very seldom do you ever get the full 3.3 from one of those new batteries on the market, but that's the spec on it anyway. There's a pocket on the inside for a spare battery. It has 2 push buttons and this cool looking wrist strap. And kudos to Amanda for coming up with a concept for the wrist strap. I think it's really a nice one. The next slide then shows you the mapping for the quick press and the long press. And again, I won't go through that again, but we went through the right button, quick press, and long press, and the toggle functions, and the LED, the way it'll flash to let you know when it's toggled. And these are more explanation of what the buttons do. A point about pulling out that clear plastic strip. And I do have a video online showing you how to replace the battery. I'm going to run through that really quick and just talk about some of the features here in a video in this session, so you can see that a little bit better. There we go. So to open this up, what I need to do is I need to slide the 2 pieces away from each other. And so if I just pull the top piece, let's say hold the bottom, and then pull the top, get that little bump and pull away, it just opens up a little bit, and you can lift them right apart. And you'll see there's a couple little hooks, if I can see that. Yeah, kind of hard to see, but oh, there they are. There's a couple little hooks that hook on the bottom, that hook these 2 together. So there's the coin battery. And to remove it, we designed this with these neat little battery pushers. So you push it from the back side, you'll see that there's a spot there where it blocks the battery from going all the way through. Then on the other side, it's wide open. So you push it, take this battery pusher, and push the battery. I think I've got the video that I've given you the link for is probably a little better demonstration of this particular part. But I'm going to push the battery out, and now I've got the battery out. And you think, well, boy, now if I just had a spare battery, woohoo, there we go. There's the spare battery. We designed this to have a little pocket to put the spare battery in. So you're right there. You don't have to go anywhere to get a spare battery. And so for all the click starters we're shipping with the spare battery, I'm not sure we're going to provide those for all those. We don't really know how long the battery is going to last for sure in every application, but you can get these in any drugstore. They're very, very, very common battery. And to put it back in, you just want to make sure you see that line, that circle around the outside. That is the negative side. The smooth side is the positive side. There's a little plus mark. You want the plus mark up. You want to be able to see the plus mark as you're putting it back into the case. So now I put it back in, and you'll see the light came on. That tells me it's starting back up again. So believe it or not, there's a computer in here, and an accelerometer, and lots of really cool stuff. Wireless technology for the Bluetooth. So I've just swapped out the battery, put them back together so they're slightly separated. I want to make sure that the hooks sit down in those little pockets on the bottom, and then just push them together and they snap in place. We've spent a lot of engineering time trying to come up with a way that this wouldn't just pop open. And we've drop tested this, and it stayed together really, really well. So I'm kind of proud of the design features on this guy. So that's how you get inside it and change the battery. Um, and I think that's all I need to say about changing the battery. There's a video online for that and a couple of examples. And this shows the right and the wrong way to put the battery in. Again, you want the plus to the plus. You see there's a little plus on the battery holder and a plus on the battery itself. A few questions that have come up along the way about the smart clicker. Is the phone required for the smart clicker to trigger the feeder? And the answer is yes. It is a relay, but you can think of this as the smart clicker sends its command to the phone, and then the phone sends that command onto the feeder. So the phone or tablet is always required. We're looking into some technology, and we're really depending upon some other developers to see if we can come up with a technology for the smart clicker to talk directly to the feeder. But that is not available right now. So you have to have your phone for the clicker to trigger the feeder. How long does the battery last? Wow, that's we're still evaluating that. I've been playing with my dog that little service dog in the video every day, at least a couple times a day. She gets her meal that way, and she'll play for 20 minutes solid. And I just replaced the battery the other day, and I've had it in there probably a week and a half or more. And I don't know that that was a fresh battery at the time because I've been using it for some other stuff. So you're going to have to wait and see how long how long the battery lasts. It it will help if you disconnect the clicker from your phone, and the phone will go into a sleep mode when it's not connected. So that's a good thing to do. What will use the battery up the most is to leave it in tilt mode and leave it connected to your phone, because then it's waking up to see if it's being moved, and you don't want to just set it around and forget it in tilt mode. Now, you can leave it in tilt mode if you put it in a toy. You can leave it in tilt mode, put it in the toy, disconnect it. Then when you go to your phone and reconnect, it'll automatically go into tilt mode, which is kind of neat. You've got your tilt sensor in the toy. It's ready to go, but it's asleep until you wake it up by connecting with your phone. Can one smart clicker trigger multiple feeders? Yes, I think we talked about that. The range questions come up a lot, and it's all over the map, to be honest with you. It depends on so many different factors. The size of the phone, the age of the phone, whether or not you're trying to go through barriers. We've had reports anywhere from about 20 feet up to about 70 feet from the field, from people that are using it during the beta testing. We've had these out in beta test for a while. But the range will depend upon a lot of things like that. I've noticed it seems to be, and I don't know if this is going to hold up, but it seems like we're finding a greater range on Android devices. So you guys tell me as you start to use it. I'd love to hear what you're finding for range, but it's going to be somewhere in that 20 or 30 feet probably is a more practical estimate. If you're only getting about 5 feet, your battery's probably getting low, or something's not right, because it should go much further than that. Most of the stuff that I've been testing here with my dogs usually is around 15, 20 feet or so, 25 feet. That little ball that I showed you gets rolled all over the place, and so it's all over the room. The toys that you can use with the smart clicker, one of my favorites is the IQ ball, and they come in two sizes again, the 3 and the 4 inch. And I'll show you, I think I've got a sample of each one of those right now. And I got some ideas for games, so I wanted to spend just a couple of minutes and tell you about some gaming ideas, because I think this is really going to open up possibilities for new strategies for enrichment, not only for dogs, but animals in general. So the IQ ball is one. Of course, the Kong Wobbler, we started that. I think we were the very first company to put sensors inside the wobbler and turn it into a toy. So that's really been taken off, and people like that a lot. And with the smart clicker, you can use the smaller, cheaper wobbler and get the same effect. And there are some others out there. We've been playing around with some other toys. So if you find other toys or come up with some other ideas for using it, please send that on to us. I'm going to just pause just briefly. I'm going to open up the microphones for a second. So I'm going to put you on. You can ask those now. Give you a couple of minutes to think about anything, any burning questions or needing clarification on anything. Okay. I'm going to go back on mute now. So we're back in mute mode. I'm going to show you now some toys and other things that you can do with the clicker. And so here again is one of my favorite is the IQ ball. And so if I take it apart, what I've got inside, I put a little paper towel in there just to cushion it a little bit. And the clicker that I've had has been getting banged around quite a bit recently with playing games. Guess what that is? Oh my gosh, this is not very careful. That's a tea bag, okay? It's a tea bag. And what you can, if any of you are doing scent work, look at this neat little hole that's in the IQ ball. And so what I've been doing is combining scent with this. So now when I put the ball in the clicker, I put the tea bag in with the clicker. And so I use multiple of these, so the dog has to find the hot one. Well, the hot one also happens to have the scent associated with it. You can try that. If you do, I'd like to hear how it turns out. I'm trying to work with this little service dog to see if she can pick up scent from playing the game. These also come in a clear version, which is kind of neat. Now this is the 3-inch. It's smaller, so you have to take there's a little disc in there. You got to take that out. And they just unscrew to open up, very simply like that. And obviously, there's enough room in there. If you still wanted treats to come out, you could put treats in this. You could put your smart clicker in it. And so now when the dog hits it, the treats are coming out around this toy, plus they're over in the feeder. So wow, it'd be kind of a crazy game. So you can get a lot of different variations on that theme. Here's the Kong wobbler. Again, now this is the small wobbler. And it's sufficient to just this is just paper towel. I just wrap a little bit around the smart clicker and stick it in there. Smart clicker is very light, so it doesn't get hammered very hard. It's not heavy, so it can take quite a bit of shock. So far, we've not had any problems with that. And we're experimenting with other toys. Let's see. Oh, yeah, here's an idea. We're not quite there yet, but I just wanted to show you, kind of interesting. Oh, if any of you find little pouches that go onto body harnesses or collars, please send me a link. I'd really appreciate it. Or post it on the user group, even better. Yeah, I found this little pocket that the smart clicker will fit into. So I'd like to start collecting kind of a hodgepodge of all the different toys and things that the smart clicker will fit into. Well, if you take a smart clicker and you take the strap off or fold the strap up, see it fits inside this pouch real nicely. You zip it up, and now guess what? That's riding around on the dog's collar or riding around on the harness. So we won't say any more about that, but just stay tuned, okay? You can put the smart clicker not only in the toys, you can put it on the dog too. And so I'd like for you to think about what you'd like to see happen with the smart clicker when it's on the dog. There's some other technology for the future that's built into the smart clicker. It's the nature of this Bluetooth that allows it to determine range or how far this is from another device. So we're not even there yet, and it's not a feature that's in this, but it's a capability that's in the hardware built in today that you can use this for. And this is open architecture, so we welcome people to build their own apps or other toys and tools to go with the smart clicker or the feeder. I think that's probably most of what I wanted to cover tonight. There are other features in the app that I won't have time to get into. I do want to, the timing feature is one in particular that I want to talk about more, and we'll get into that in another webinar. And some other accessories that will be coming out this summer, at least in some prototypes, to do some really interesting stuff to trigger the feeder in an automated way. So if you've got a smart clicker, those things might be compatible with that in the future. Let's see, is there anything else? I'm going to open this up one more time, see if there are any other questions. Okay. So we've got the mics open. Any questions from anyone?
Thank you, Wes. This is pretty exciting.
Oh, thank you. Who is this?
This is Nancy.
Oh, hi, Nancy.
Yeah. It's a lot to take in, but I'm really excited about it.
Good. Well, we don't want anything to be in the way of folks that want to increase the enrichment for their animals or the use of positive reinforcement. And so we think we'll provide features that may be there. Not everyone's going to use the same thing, but we'll keep inventing and keep making things available to you guys. And really enjoy the feedback. Please let us know if you find other uses or would like something added, capabilities. We're always open to that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. If there aren't any other questions, we'll go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. I really appreciate you spending time tonight. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. So long.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.